We'll go through the chair and he'll recognize anyone who wants to speak and then let you know when it's your turn to speak. If you're new here tonight, the chair will read the hearing for the ad for the public hearing, and then he'll read any department comments that have come in, and he'll ask the applicant to explain the project. And then he will he asks me, the conservation agent, to comment, and then he goes and asks the other commissioners if they have a comment, and then he'll recognize anyone in the audience, and a butter or a concerned citizen or anyone else who would like to comment on the public hearing. If you want to comment, you can raise your hand or say something in the chat, or if it seems appropriate, unmute yourself and say that you want to speak. Just be conscious of other people speaking, so everyone will get a turn if required. And we'll be going by the agenda. And if there's anyone for other business after the public hearings, we take that business after the hearings. Oh, I see Jack.
Am I on? Am I on?
Hi, Jack.
Hi. Sorry, Mike. I just went to tune in and I saw there's some last minute emails sent out. So,
yes.
Are we, I see you have indicated what we're doing
Yes.
for the meeting. So we're ready to, as soon as I find the, okay. Town of Walpole Conservation Commission. Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing for the purposes of gathering public comment on revisions to the Stormwater and Erosion Control Bylaw regulations and the Walpole Wetland Protection Bylaw regulations. Public hearing in the above matter will be held in Walpole Town Hall, 135 School Street, Walpole, Mass, January 22nd, 2022, beginning, that should be January 22nd, 2021, beginning at 7 p.m. All interested persons request to be present. Hearing's been opened and continue. So where do we stand on the revisions, Landis? I see I know we've had some review of this and
so last time we talked about a few revisions that we wanted to make regarding the draft. So first of all, if anyone is new and doesn't know, the revisions to the Stormwater Management and Erosion Control Bylaw regulations are being made based on the EPA MS4 permit requirements for each town to go through their bylaw and bring it up to compliance with MS4. So that's what we've been doing. So I made some revisions. I made some revisions to the fast track permit requirements, so that the intent of the fast track permit was to have a way for people to comply with the bylaw without having to go through the public hearing process for projects that were under 40,000 square feet and minor in nature, but would require a building permit. And initially in the regulations, the requirements were a little hefty in terms of what we were asking people to file. And we wanted to make it a little bit easier, but still have something when someone's applying for a building permit that they would have to comply with having erosion control or a construction pad, or if it was an addition or a garage, have infiltration of roof drainage, some sort of basic stormwater requirements. So I took out some of the language to make it a little bit easier. There is still some requirements that we can ask for what we need for on a project by project case. So depending what it is. So that was one of the things that was edited out. Yep.
No, he's not talking.
okay, was there anything else in Landis
It's good now.
to bring up?
The other thing was off-site mitigation. So in the original regulations, it had a provision for off-site mitigation for stormwater.
Thing.
Can we all mute our mics, please?
Yeah, I think, yeah, great, thanks. So if somebody couldn't comply with stormwater on a particular site, there was an option to mitigate off-site, but that was removed just because it's a little more complicated than we have personnel to do at the time. So I took that off. It's not a requirement of the MS4 permit. It was just a choice.
Okay.
Then just the other thing, Jack, was so we have a requirement to, in the past with Conservation Commission Order of Conditions or stormwater permits, we always put a condition in that there's an operation and maintenance plan, and if there's a stormwater BMP, a stormwater basin, or catch basins on site, that they had to comply with the operation and maintenance plan and do an annual inspection and annual cleaning, and it was really up to them to do that and get us a report back. People don't do that. So the MS4 requires communities to put in place some kind of protocol for that, which people have to follow, and the annual certificate would be that we would require projects that have stormwater BMPs on site to get a certificate from us every year that they've complied with the annual operation maintenance plan. And if they don't, then we'd have some kind of fine schedule.
Okay. Let's go through the commission. Dean, do you have any comments or questions?
Nope.
Okay, Bailey?
No comment.
Okay, Doug?
I just had a typo that I spotted in there. I think I pointed out to Landis, but it's real simple. Section E of the Stormwater Management Design Standards, item 15 refers to the 100 storm event. I think it should say 100-year storm event. So it's a minor thing.
Okay.
What section was that in, Doug?
It's in Section E under Stormwater Management Design Standards, item 15. It reads the 100 storm event. Just needs the word year put in.
All right, I didn't find that yet, so I'll have to find that section.
It's on page 21.
Page 21.
If it's, the pages are the same as I have.
You see it, Jack, what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need that. We didn't find it.
Oh,
Did you find it?
no, but I will. There's number sections, and then under each number section, there's letters. So I was confused.
Okay, I think, yeah, this is section E.
Yeah. Stormwater Management Design Standards. That's
Yeah,
section.
section E, and I'm trying to find out what the number is.
It's number 15.
Number 8. It's under section 8, paragraph E, 15, I think, well, yes, 15.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, section 8.
Ah, found it. Yes.
Okay. Okay, anything, that was it, Doug?
Yeah, I had a concern about the amount of fill that's allowed to be brought in, but I understand we're not trying to make major changes to this. That might be for some other time.
Yeah, I noticed that also. I thought that we may still want to address that.
Right, I think that was brought up last time, that
Right.
it's in the bylaw also, so the way you would change the bylaw is different than how you change the
Okay.
regulations.
Okay. Okay, Emilio?
No comments.
Okay, Betsy?
Yeah, three things. One is back to Doug's comment about the 300 cubic yards. Is that what it was?
It was 400.
400. I was wondering, and I actually asked Landis today, is there any chance that was a typo from way back? And how would one find out? You know, I mean, obviously I went to town meeting, it got voted in, so maybe it's just a done deal, but I just wondered if there was any chance that was a typo. It is in the bylaws, but typo in the bylaws, and how would we find out if it were? And then I had a question, a two-part question for you, Landis. So if you're issuing a certificate every year for each of the projects that has a stormwater management plan, approximately how many projects would that be? Like what order of magnitude? And would they be like drifting in every day of the year, or would it be like January's the time that everybody's got to do it, like our taxes or something?
Right.
Or would it just be like constant? What? Sorry.
So, Allery right now is I had started a database with projects that have O&Ms and projects, you know, subdivisions that have how many basins do they have, or how many storm scepters do they have, or what kind of BMPs. And Allery had gone back and is updating that to current projects, because we want to first just send out a letter to people to let them know that, and remind them that they have this, that it's in their order of conditions, that it needs to be done first. So I don't know exactly, I don't know, Allery, if you have an idea perhaps of what's out there now, or what we are working on it. You have to unmute yourself if you want to just.
Spacebar doesn't work. Yeah, I should have the list done by the end of next week, and we have the letter drafted. So I would think that Landis and it wouldn't take us more than a couple of hours, if that, to go through the list and pick out the bigger parcels projects first and get those out, I would say, in the next month or two.
Right. So first, what we do is the bigger places like the Walpole Mall, or bigger subdivisions with neighborhood associations or something like that. Bigger places that really should be managing their stormwater, and hopefully have, but just haven't sent us a report. And then we would kind of go down in tiers to, there's a lot of single family houses with basins on them that also are required to take care of their basins or their BMPs. And so we would do them next. But that's my plan, to first send out a friendlier letter explaining what's on their site. They do have this requirement. And then later on, it would have to be more formal certificate program.
Like a yearly certificate.
It would be a yearly, and about this around the same time, I think would be best. It would be easier to keep track of and to do. But yeah, it's kind of a big thing to have to do every year. It's one of those MS4 requirements that they're asking you to do and not really giving you any resources to do it.
Oh, is that anything else, Betsy? Betsy, was there anything else?
No, there isn't.
Okay, Al? Al, did you have any comments that you wanted to make at this point? You're muted. Can you unmute Al, or does he have to do it himself?
I just tried to unmute him. It gives me the option to ask him to unmute, but I can't do it for him. There he goes.
There we go.
Thanks. Al?
Are we going page by page, line by line on this thing, or just anything that stands out for us? Are we reviewing the whole document or what?
I think we're looking just for specific comments at this point. Did you have any particular sections or comments?
No.
on anything?
No, I don't.
Okay. No, we're not doing a line by line at this point.
Al, if you want to review it line by line and make comments and then get it over to me, or I'll pick it up, then that would be great. That would be helpful.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, what happened here? I lost my Zoom.
We can still see you.
I don't have anything on my screen.
Can you go to the bottom of the screen and find it again?
I'm opening the Zoom meeting. Okay, I'm back. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I had some, when reviewing this, some comments, and I need to look at, I wrote them down. One of them was this 400 cubic yards issue.
Right.
And there's some other things, I just wondering about the wording, which I think I can go over with you, Landis. On if I wasn't sure if grammatically the way it was worded was correct. And I gotta find the sections. So I can do that with you.
Okay. Sounds good. And then I would probably, with the draft, after anyone else sends in some comments, I would probably just get on the phone with the person from town council that had been working on, and he highlighted a couple of areas that I think he wanted to go over, and then we'll get sort of a better draft for voting on.
Okay. Anyone in the audience like to make any comments or questions? Please identify yourself for the record.
Jack, this is Doug.
Oh yeah, Doug.
With regards to that 400 cubic yards of fill, maybe we could look at some other towns' stormwater plans and see if that's done elsewhere, the 400, or maybe, like Betsy said, maybe it should have been just 40 yards or, something much smaller than that. If we looked at what other towns' documents are, we might get a feel for whether that is simply a typo.
Okay.
I think it was more, it was perhaps the thinking was someone who was stockpiling a big loam pile that they would not have to file for a land disturbance permit to do that.
Okay, I guess the way it's written, it makes it sound like they could fill in wetlands with as much as that amount of material.
Oh no, it has, no, definitely not. You couldn't fill in wetlands.
All right.
The Wetlands Protection Act, the Wetlands Bylaw prevents that. It's more if the Stormwater and Erosion Control Bylaw would have, because I know it's in the exemption section, but maybe I'll run that by town council also, because it seems like if there's a difference between a stockpile of loam or spreading the loam throughout a whole site, but if it's more than 40,000 square feet, then the bylaw should kick in. But it was probably written really poorly, so I can review that, and if the commission feels like it really needs to be changed, then we would just have to time it so that we could go to town meeting to change it.
Okay, I wonder if we're allowed to make just because it maybe is about stockpiling, like just having a great huge heap of something or other temporarily or for some good reason. Is there any chance we could add a phrase like for the purpose of temporarily stockpiling it or something? Because I can remember times on the commission when we've had like a line by line reading of some bylaw trying to figure out what it meant. And I'm just wondering if we could just put a little clarification thing in there if we think it's about stockpiling.
Yeah, I'll look into that further.
Well, let's take a look at that. We also have to look at the bylaw and see what is there in it that needs to be addressed in conjunction with this. We'll have to do it together so that we're not in conflict between the two, the bylaw and the regulations. Okay, so no one in the audience has any questions or comments. So we need to continue this to what would be appropriate. We need some time here.
Yeah, I would say at least, I would say June 9th, if we could go to June 9th.
So our June 9th meeting, so we could continue this to June 9th at, we have nothing else on for June,
No.
I don't think. So June 9th, 7 p.m.
Okay,
Someone make that a motion.
I'll move it.
We have a second.
Second.
That was, who made that?
Dean Bettis, second.
Okay, Dean, thank you. Okay, all in favor? Dean,
Aye.
Bailey,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Emilio,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Al,
Aye.
Jack, aye. Okay, so it's still 7 o'clock on June 9th. Thank you. Next hearing is okay. Town of Walpole amendment to order conditions, land disturbance permit, Conservation Commission public hearing. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act, Town of Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Stormwater and Erosion Control Bylaw, notice is hereby given of the intent of the Town of Walpole to amend DEP 315-1183 and the land disturbance permit for revisions to the stormwater management system, the recreation facility located at Route 1A Main Street. Plans are filed to Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held during a video accessible Zoom meeting, April 28th, 2021 at 7:15 p.m. Contact Conservation 508-660-7253 or L. Hershey at walpole-ma.gov for Zoom information. All interested persons request to be present. Time is now 7:25 and let's see, representing the applicant, who's going to discuss this?
It is myself, Brandon Kunkel. I'm joined by my colleagues, Stephen Roy and Jesse Johnson of Weston and Sampson. I am the project manager for the construction project on behalf of the town, the owner of the property. And we met with you folks back in 2019. We received an order of conditions from you folks. We commenced construction late 2019, January 2020. And as we progressed during construction, we had the temporary sediment basins throughout the entire construction. And as we started to get towards our final completion, which is expected here in the next month or so, we in the spring or late winter, fall, and through the spring, we're seeing that we're not receiving the infiltration rates that we had expected in our basins. And so we're back here in front of you folks tonight to make some amendments to the order of conditions and the plan. And I'm gonna, at this point, hand it over to my colleagues, Steve and Jesse, to walk through the more technical stuff, but I'm going to put up on the screen here the proposed plan that was submitted to you folks.
Okay. Who is speaking now?
Mr. Chairman, my name's Steve Roy. I'm with Weston and Sampson, working with Brandon Kunkel.
Okay,
And Jesse Johnson, I'll be contributing as well.
okay, go ahead.
And I'm not sure who.
Brandon's gonna show his screen if he can.
Yeah, I'm currently disabled.
Yeah, Landis, I made you the host. I figured it out after all. So if you allow the share screen capability, Brandon can share a screen.
Okay, you should be good to go.
Are folks able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman and Commission, we're here tonight on behalf of the town to propose several revisions to the stormwater management system and to improve the stormwater management at the site. We've been working on this since the site experienced some issues over the winter with discharges towards Winter Street that were unacceptable from this project. So the plans that we've submitted and the supporting documentation show several changes that we've made on or are proposing to make on the site in a very short time frame to be able to better manage stormwater and build a system that will be effective into the future. The proposed changes to the site include raising elevations of what was called Infiltration Basin number 1. We'll be raising the berm elevation there. All of the material that is now in the bottom of the berm that was fill material did not meet our specification and will have to be removed and replaced with properly specified material. We're also expanding the amount of stormwater management by removing the space between Basin 1 and Basin 2 and creating more stormwater storage capacity in the system. And at that same time, we're eliminating the discharges that flow in the direction of Winter Street. So those outfalls will be discontinued, both the overflow discharge, the emergency overflow discharges, and the standard overflow discharges, and everything will be directed to the south of the site. And we're actually adding in a new basin now, basin number 3, that will receive the final discharge of the stormwater managed from the site. All of this stormwater design has been upgraded to use the latest precipitation projections. So the original plan was designed using the G40 numbers that are allowable under your stormwater regulations and the state stormwater handbook and the Wetlands Protection Act. We've upgraded them to use NOAA Atlas 14 numbers. What does that mean is essentially for a 25-year event, that used to be 5.4 inches over 24 hours. And the numbers that we're modeling now are 6.54 for that event. And for the 100-year, it was 6.5 inches. And now we're managing 8.36 inches on site. There are several other minor modifications that we're making as part of this, including assuming that all of the drainage that is coming from the turf fields will now be modeled as if it's an impervious surface, or a curve number of 98 in our model. So we're not allowing for any infiltration from that area, as well as the surface of the basins themselves are now curve number 98 in our models. And our models are now all working to handle that with the addition of basin number 3 that's on the bottom. On your site plan, it shows as a swale with check dams. And further conversation with the town engineer yesterday, we've come back and made another modification to this plan that we'd like you to consider to actually turn that into another infiltration basin to handle this additional flow. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Jesse Johnson, to add any additional comments about these changes before we accept any questions from the commission.
Okay.
Oh, I'd further add to it that, again, conservative measures to try to really look at this and how it's going to perform long-term. Also take into consideration maintenance, like you guys were just discussing prior. It's not always done in accordance with the recommended guidelines. So you build in some safety measures, and we felt that we've done this in this new approach to the design. We've done a lot of soil testing, recent soil testing, to confirm depth to groundwater, soil types, and adjusted all the input parameters in our modeling software to account for that. The one thing we are going to recommend to do additional that is not required by, again, local or state guidelines, is we're going to go back out once we get to parent material in the second basin, especially. All the fill material is removed and we get down to parent. We'll go out and do in situ infiltration testing again to confirm the input parameters that we are putting into the model. Again, not required by guidelines. You can use what's called the Rawls rate when you get a soil classification, which we've already done. And we feel that's still conservative, but we want to make sure we get it right. So we'll go back out and follow that up. We are confident, though, that if there is still another adjustment that would need to be made to the model to input, let's say, for instance, we have 2.41 as an exfiltration rate. Let's say it's coming in at only 2 feet or inches per hour. We have enough capacity in this system and the design that we would be able to accommodate those changes. If it's something very significant in a change, then yeah, we might have to revisit it, but we feel confident that we can accommodate slight variations in the model when we go out and get that rate finalized. So that, again, just we raised the berm up, we raised the weir up, more effective storage volume, and then also adding that third basin in that will also exfiltrate at a higher rate based off our soil testing. We feel as though we've got a belt and suspender approach to the redesign. And I'll leave it at that.
If I can just add, I just want to confirm and clarify if there is any doubt or question. So if these improvements are made, part of the improvements would be to not allow any discharge from these basins towards Winter Street. And it would all then go from the upper basins to this new third basin, and then ultimately further down off the site. So there would be no discharge towards Winter Street once these improvements are made.
Okay.
Where's Winter Street?
Winter Street is down here at the bottom, or on the right side of the page.
And what were we seeing in Winter Street this winter?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Said you had issues on Winter Street this year.
Oh.
Redesigning.
We'll go through the commission on that. I have a letter. Are you finished, Weston and Sampson?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Okay. There's a letter, and this is what I pulled off email just before the meeting. It was from town engineer. I don't know, is Carl on? Did he want to speak to this, or should I read the letter into the record?
Mr. Chairman, Carl Baldoff, town engineer, I am on. You may address it, or I will. It's up to you.
All right. Well, since you wrote the letter, do you want to? Why don't you take that over and explain what was on here?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. There's what you're seeing here is the result of several different work sessions and whatnot to try and come to a solution that was acceptable to all. What actually got submitted to the commission, the sheet L5 that was submitted to the commission, will require the revision of the items that I outlined in the letter, which incidentally have been well described by the Weston and Sampson team. They've already really covered the issues in the letter. But for the sake of completeness, I'll go over it. It said the first item was that we wanted to change the swale to the south of Basin 2 to an infiltration basin. That actually had been shown on an earlier iteration. So we're going back to the future, but you haven't seen that. Anyway, that wants to be changed into an infiltration basin, and that's what Weston and Sampson described in their narrative. We also described the fact that we're going to do all the infiltration in Basin 2, all right, and not do infiltration in Basin 1. The original design counted in both basins, and Weston and Sampson has described this because we feel that the parent material in Basin 2 can achieve the rates that we want, and it also will be achieved in the third basin that's now currently shown as a swale, so that we'll be able to achieve the infiltration rates needed both under stormwater management and to manage rate and volume. The third item is making all the berms on Basin 1 the same height. The current plan shows the berm lower on Basin 1, and after discussion recently, we want them all at the same height so that it has sufficient freeboard for the 100-year storm. We really don't want to see any overflow over those banks going down towards Winter Street. The fourth item, Mr. Chair, is it was the discussion that has also already been covered by Weston and Sampson, and that's the use of the curve numbers for the developed fields. We wanted to use a curve number closer to, or actually they're described the same as pavement, because we found that the water in reality runs very quickly off of these fields, and it doesn't really act like grass. It acts like something that runs water faster than grass. So that's why we want the model to behave accurately and make those changes. That was also described by Weston and Sampson. And the fifth item is to the southeast of the southerly field, where the proposed swale on this plan ends. We noted that in this particular design, the channel had gotten very narrow and was going to be handling the discharges, and we were worried that would be a place where erosion would occur. I think under the proposed design, what Weston and Sampson described, what Steve Roy and Jesse described was with the addition of the third basin, we're going to reduce rates and volume significantly, and we're still going to have to pay attention to how the water, ultimately this is where the basins will discharge, and we'll still need to pay attention to it. So that's a detail that we're going to refine a little bit further, but that was our recommendation. I didn't want to see it go down a channel, essentially in a small ravine, and erode that ravine at the time that the basin's discharged. So that's what we covered. We want to make sure that this thing functions well for the town in the long run, for the abutters in the long run, and that, of course, it complies with state and local regulations for stormwater management. And I believe what we're describing will do that, and it's going to be an improvement, certainly, of what's actually out there today. So those are the comments that I had, and I'll be more than glad to answer any questions or let you go back to the Weston and Sampson team at the commission.
Okay, thank you, Carl. What we'll do, for anybody in the audience who's watching, we're going to go through the commission, and then we'll open up to the audience for any questions. So, Dean, you had a question about Winter Street?
Yeah, my name's Dean. I have a couple of questions. So what happened in this winter in Winter Street that made you redesign the plan? Is we had some overflow of the berms?
Yeah, there was one storm event in particular, somewhere, my understanding, somewhere around the 25-year storm. It was about, I believe it somewhere, Carl, I know you actually know the data, but it was a significant storm. We were still in a construction condition, but we were fairly close to having a final condition, but it did overtop the basin and ran down the hillside and washed out the bottom across Winter Street.
How deep is the parent material in the infiltration basin 2?
My understanding is somewhere around, and I guess Steve and Jesse, but somewhere between 18 inches down all the way up to 4 feet in some areas.
Are you going to use the soil you excavate from here to build the berm? Or I should ask you, what are you going to do with the material that we're going to remove from the base of this?
So we are going to, or are planning to, build up the berms with that material, and then everything else will have to be taken out.
And what are you going to do with these conveyances, the overflow conveyances that you're going to deconstruct? The overflow pipes here.
They'll be blocked.
Just blocked like concrete?
That's correct.
Okay. Now the swale to the south, I'm assuming it's to the south.
Yes.
Have you, I'm sure you've done, are you going to make this bigger into a basin type scenario? Or are you going to keep it a swale?
We've regraded this beyond this plan. It has a much wider bottom than this plan currently shows. And now, rather than a series of check dams here, it has a flat bottom and will then have a berm at the end with an outlet device from that.
Now, I'm assuming this abutter here, I mean, it definitely is true that they are at a much lower elevation. Have there been any hydraulic studies to the infiltration on this swale? Because you changed your original design, so now we're going to put a significant amount of water into this swale, which is up gradient from our abutter. Do they get any water?
The discharge actually doesn't flow in that direction. It flows to a discharge point to the southwest.
And where does that go?
My understanding is that there's ultimately a natural gully, if you will, that is up gradient of the abutters that are downstream of that it'll flow into if it does make it to that point. I also will point out that during the 100-year storm event, post-development conditions, the analysis right now is showing that the discharge coming out of that swale is only around 7 CFS. So given this size project and with the upgraded rainfall amounts to only have 7 CFS for 100-year and at 4 feet per second, that's what its maximum velocity is in that swale, or what's going to be the basin. I should change that.
Yeah. All right. So very rare occurrence that we'd actually see a significant discharge from this southern point here.
Right.
But the infiltration here, even the infiltration, this swale, just the basin down here, the swale/basin, will there be infiltration rates in there? Was it designed to infiltrate or just convey?
Yes.
It's designed to infiltrate.
Okay, so then has there been any study about the infiltration affecting this home, or that won't happen?
Yes.
Okay, and no impacts to this abutter to the south with the infiltration rates?
No.
Okay.
Again, as the town engineer pointed out, we and Jesse has pointed out, we have prepared to go back out once we get that material out of basin number 2 to do additional infiltration tests, and we'll also verify the infiltration tests that we've already conducted in basin number 3 area. The basin number 3 area is basically sand. It's very, very permeable material there.
Can I just jump in here for a minute? This is Landis Hershey. So the basin number 1, it will act as a detention basin. Basin number 2 will still infiltrate like it was supposed to. Is that correct? And then it'll discharge towards infiltration 3.
Yes.
Yeah, I would just clarify it a little bit. So what we're doing also with this redesign, when we did the additional testing out on site, we noticed that we didn't have the groundwater separation that we wanted for Basin 1. So we're actually raising the grade of Basin 1 with good new material to get the 2-foot separation that you need. And we also confirmed that on the bottom of Basin 2, we'll have at least 4 feet of separation to the groundwater there. So ideal conditions in Basin 2 and it's still acceptable under Basin 1. We're just being conservative and not taking full credit for that exfiltration in 1. That's all. But in actuality, we're likely going to get infiltration in the 1 area as well.
Anything else, Landis?
No, I just wanted to jump in there because I wanted to make sure wasn't portrayed that all the stormwater is going to go into 1, go into 2, and go into the swale, and then go into 3 and rush down the hill. That I don't think that was the intent of the redesign, but more for the swale and the detention basin 3 to be a safeguard for additional flow in these big storms.
Okay. Dean, did you have anything else?
No other questions. Thank you.
Bailey, any questions or comments?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, Doug?
Not at this time.
Okay, Emilio?
I think it really sounds like you put a lot of thought into the redesign and the problems you've had. So I applaud you for that. So it sounds a lot better, and it sounds like it's a vast improvement over what's there right now. So this drawing is not the final drawing. Is that what I heard?
No, you are correct with that assumption. So following the submittal and Carl's review, he reached out to us, made some comments, and then that's what he formalized in that letter. We spoke with him yesterday. We have actually, in all reality, we have already made the changes. They are represented on a plan, but because that's not the plan we were able to submit, this is what we're showing.
Okay. So Landis, you'll review that?
Yes. As the material comes in, both Carl has spent a lot of time looking at this, and as me as well, yes.
Okay. All right. That's all I had.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be reviewed by Carl and Landis. Betsy, any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. So it sounded like early on in your presentation that maybe a contractor, a subcontractor had put the wrong fill into that basin, fill that you hadn't specified, and that's why you have to take it down to your parent soil and get that. And then I got to thinking while I was listening to the rest of the presentation, have you checked all of your basins to make sure that the wrong fill wasn't put into all of them? Like, for example, that basin that's closest to Route 1A, I think Landis told me today, I can't quite see it on this plan, but I think it connects to your problematic basin. So even if it might be draining just fine, is it draining fine enough? I just wondered if you checked all your basins to make sure the wrong fill hadn't been put into all. And then I'm sorry to say, I got to thinking about your turf field, because usually a brand new turf field drains really well. And if this one is sheeting off water, is there any chance the wrong fill was put underneath that too as well? Sorry to bring up such an unpleasant thing, but don't turf fields usually drain pretty well?
So they do, and in reality, they do take a lot of water. We have about an 18-inch profile of drainage stone, and then sits on top of what these dashed black lines here are all under drains. In reality, it's bleeding through the stone and the material really quickly, and it's hitting the subsurface material, and then ultimately it's going into the drainage pipes and then out to the basins. Just to be conservative from an overall stormwater management, we've increased the runoff coefficient at the request of the town and a third-party review that recommended increasing it just as a safety factor.
And are your other basins have the wrong fill in them by chance? I'm just wondering if the subcontractor did that with one of them, might have happened with the others.
So I can speak to the construction of the two basins on that side of the property. I did observe the construction of those two. I do know the material that was used in those basins is correct. What we think ultimately happened was, as the winter was approaching, the contractor was hastily making winter preparations, knowing that he was going to be shutting down. Part of the other issues is that he had used it as his stockpile area, given the limitations of the fields and his ability to stockpile materials. So it was overly compacted, and we don't believe that he uncompacted it before completing some of the fill material. So it's getting jammed up within the soil profile.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay, Al, anything?
Well, the first thing is, I appreciate their effort to remove any new water going towards Winter Street. Winter Street has enough water problems as it is. And I think that changing from the old TP40 system to the more updated weather numbers is a very important thing. We've tried to do that on other projects. I don't know why it slipped through on this one, but that's important to be using your calculations from the latest stormwater statistics. So that's a good thing, and I think the water going to the south eventually gets into wetlands, so
it does
where it belongs. Okay, that's all I have at the moment.
Okay. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Please identify yourself for the record.
So Jack, I have a couple who have contacted me through chat. So Allie, if you want to unmute yourself, and then IKGOR Igor will be next. So Allie, you can unmute yourself. And then Bill.
Mr. Hamilton, is he on the list?
Yep, yep, he is now.
Okay.
Go ahead, Allie.
Thanks. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate your help and time on this regard. I am in a butter, and I recently purchased the house about a year ago, and we experienced the overflow. I live on Winter Street, so I appreciate your work on this matter. I just had a question because I did notice is it the access kind of cut through the drains?
Utility easement?
Yeah, the utility easement. There's still some large drain that seems to be wide open there. So I don't know if there's still expected runoff to be coming down from there. I know you said, as Landis clarified, with the Basin 2 is still expected to be, what is it, the term, infiltrate basin. So I didn't know if there was any kind of plan to just safeguard that.
So I think just so I'm clear, you're specifically talking about the transition from the utility easement at Winter Street. It's an embankment, and currently there's a large black pipe that is protruding. And I believe that's what you're referring to, correct?
Yes, yes, thank you.
So the large black pipe was a temporary measure we put in place following the major storm event to prevent that from happening again while we redesigned through the winter months. And so that is going to be coming out. The contractor is going to be rebuilding the slope. And because it has failed, it's never going to be as stable as it was before. We are going to be building a formalized stone channel to help keep the water in the direction that we want it to keep going, because there is an inlet right here at the bottom of the hill. And that was actually buried unbeknownst to everybody at the time of the event. So that's been cleaned out. It's now open. It's now taking in water. I think you have a photo of it. And the black pipe will be coming out as they reinforce that hillside and rebuild the hillside. What you'll see is pretty much from the street perspective, what you'll see is pretty much the embankment as it was before, with a slight amount of stone just to keep it stabilized for now on.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, go on, IKGOR, Igor.
Yeah, this is Irene Gorsica.
Hi, Irene.
Hi. I'm on 276 Winter Street, right on the curve there. Mike, I have a couple questions. One's regarding the access road. It has really not too much to do with what you're presenting tonight, but at the bottom of that access road where it hits Winter Street, I'm a little concerned about the safety of the kids. I mean, they were sledding down that access road this winter, and they come down with the little trail bikes now too. I'm just afraid that somebody's going to slip and fall and go right under the tires of the cars that come around that curve. Is there any way we can maybe put a fence or stones or something to discourage that drop off into the road?
So there are actually, I can't speak for the town about, a guardrail. What's currently there are a series of boulders. Some of them have been dislodged due to the slope disruption. They will be put back. The intent was to really prevent ATVs or even off-road vehicles from accessing that. I don't know that we expected or anticipated kids on bikes, given it's actually a fairly bumpy walk, because it's really intended to be strictly a utility easement, and ultimately we're hoping that Mother Nature sort of grows back in over the next few years, and it won't appear as though it's so exciting and as wide as it is now.
Actually, if I can just jump in, Mr. Chairman, it's Patrick Shield, Assistant Town Administrator. Prior to the issues with the stormwater that we experienced back in the fall, we were working with the general contractor to install a guardrail similar to the guardrail that you'll see at the top of the site that goes around the fields, exactly where you're talking about, Ms. Gorsica. So if you're walking down that easement, there's kind of like, for the lack of a better word, a ramp that goes to the left down to the sidewalk. There would have been a guardrail that would accompany that. So if young people are sledding down that hill, there's that guardrail that would prevent immediate access onto Winter Street.
And that'll be good. We just need something there for the safety of the kids, because they're going to be there. They're just going to. Okay, so just so I can reiterate everything that's been said so far in Bunny English. Okay, that piece of land between Basin 1 and Basin 2 is going to be removed, correct?
Yes.
So that becomes one large basin?
Correct.
Okay, and then you're going to put in a third basin above Spike Yonkers' property here.
Correct.
Okay. When I looked at this map at the town hall, in that area of the third basin, there was something called cross dams. I don't know if that's still going to be there. Yeah, those things. What are the purpose of those?
So those are called check dams, and they're stone check dams. And if you look down a lot of highways in the center median, where the lanes are divided and there's a grass strip in between, a lot of times you'll see check dams, and they're made out, it's just stone piled up in a nice organized fashion. But the intent of them is to actually slow down and dissipate water in order to get that infiltration and not get erosion. So that was the intent here. Now those are going to go away because in this current plan, what you see is actually a swale. We're changing it to a basin. So those will go away because they were no longer needed. There will be a check dam outlet from Basin 3. And as Jesse inferred, it would take a extreme major storm beyond the 100-year to even impact that.
Okay. And the third question I have, which is the way everything exists currently and has for a long time, there is a trench that runs from 1A along that Eversource access road, okay?
This one right here.
Yeah, up along there. It drains into the woodland where we had all the water problems over the fall and winter, okay? in there, there's a large hole. It's now probably only 5 feet deep. That used to be much deeper. But is there going to be any plans, again, for the safety of the kids who might want to think that is a nice ice skating pond, to put some kind of fence or something around that? Again, this is probably a town question, not for you folks, but water does pool there from that trench.
I can take that one through you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not aware of the hole that Ms. Gorsica is referring to, but we'll definitely take a look at that and figure out what imminent public safety hazards there may be with that. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. We'll take a look at that.
Okay, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Did we have any, Mr. Hamilton was?
Yeah, Mr. Hamilton.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead, please.
Oh, okay. Just so to orient you, I am in the Inland Wetland Restricted Area number 16. It's in book 5191, page 214. I'm in this restricted wetland with the Koskis, Hamiltons, Doyle, DeLappa, and Bird Machine. And when that black pipe was put into the drainage system, into the culvert, and other water came down, it flooded the whole back there. So all of, when you drive down Eldor Drive, looking to your left, you'll see that in stormy weather that there's feet of water back there, a tremendous amount. Now, I walked that land where the fields are back in the 70s when we had prisoners trying to tunnel out of the prison during the riots. And there was no streams or brooks that I can remember. So there was no water leaving that area. But today there's a tremendous amount leaving it. And I'm wondering if that's if you're gonna stop the water from leaving and staying there. That's my question.
This is Steve Roy from Weston and Sampson. I think that's the real intent here, is to stop the flow of water in that direction from this stormwater management system, so that doesn't happen again.
Oh, okay, because this should have an impact on Omni, because they're in the same wetland that I'm in, and that water runs from the cul-de-sac from the culvert into the stream there now, which has become quite a river now, and it floods that whole back area, and then it runs off into where Omni's project is developing, and that's in the wetland number 16. And also there is a wetland with just DeLappa, wetland 15. So that water didn't come before, but it's coming now.
That's Cedar Swamp.
Yes. Well, it's the Great Cedar Swamp Aquifer, which delivers...
It's a very large wetland area.
It delivers drinking water to the School Meadow Brook. Okay, that's it for me.
Anything else, Mr. Hamilton?
Well, I will later. You have another hearing, I believe.
Okay.
I can do it right now. I'm prepared to. Tell you.
Just stick with this on this subject.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience that wants to make a comment?
I think that's it, Jack. If there's anyone else, just speak up in the chat. But I only had 2 people in the chat and Mr. Hamilton, so I believe we're good.
Okay.
Can I just ask, Bill, are you waiting for the Summer Street? Because that's been going to be continued.
Oh, okay. Yes, I am.
Okay.
But I have a question. Not so much on the project itself.
Let's stick with this. Well, that's next on the agenda. Okay, so that this is an amendment to the order of conditions. So someone want to make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and all in favor? Dean?
Aye.
Bailey?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Emilio?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
Mel?
Aye.
Jack? Aye. Okay, so this is an amendment. Someone want to make a motion to accept this amendment to the existing order conditions?
That
I'll
motion.
move
So
that.
moved.
Okay, then I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Dean?
This is Dean. Aye.
Bailey?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Emilio?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
Mel?
Aye.
Jack? Aye. Okay, so I think we're squared away on this. And you will get us the revised drawing, and then we can issue the amendment to the order. Okay?
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Chairman
Thank you
and
so
Commission.
much.
And
Thank
thank
you,
you
Mr.
all
Chairman.
for,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
okay, and thank you all for the presentation. I think it sounds good. Okay, let's see, the next hearing is on the right-of-way. However, before we get to that, for Mr. Hamilton's information, the applicant for Summer Street has requested that we continue the hearing until, what is it, May 12th?
May- Yes, Chairman.
Okay, so that we will not take any testimony or questions tonight. So we'll be on our agenda for May 12th. And if you want to stay tuned or just check with the office as far as the timing goes, when that hearing will be scheduled. Okay. Town of Walpole request for determination of applicability, Conservation Commission public hearing in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, the Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice of our given the intent of Mass Coastal Railroad to confirm wetland boundaries to facilitate routine management activities along their rail right-of-way. Plans on file with the Conservation Commission Office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held during a virtually accessible video Zoom meeting on April 28, 2021, beginning at 7:30 p.m. All interested person requested to be present. Contact Conservation at 508-660-7253 for access information to the virtual meeting. Time is now 8:09 p.m. and representing the applicant.
I'm Tom Lewis. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Okay.
Hi, thank you. So just as quick background, so railroads in the Commonwealth manage their vegetation under the rights of way regulation, which is administered by the Department of Agricultural Resources. So as part of that, they're required to have a vegetation management plan, which is a 5-year document. And their most recent one expired at the end of last year. So that's in the process of renewal. And as part of that, we're required to go to every municipality and obtain a confirmation of the boundary or the delineation of the boundaries of the resource areas. So that's why I'm here tonight. If you'd like, I could share my screen and I can show you the map that was provided.
Okay. Why don't you do that?
Okay. Can you see that okay?
Yep.
So this did change a little bit from the last cycle when we did this 5 years ago. The biggest difference is, well, this line that runs north-south here goes down by the station. Right here is where the passenger station is. Keolis's line, what they call the Franklin line to Boston, is this somewhat east-west route. So Keolis took over the portion south of the station going down past Gillette. So that used to be under the maintenance of the Mass Coastal Railroad, but that's no longer the case. So the right-of-way for Mass Coastal ends just here in the yard area across from the station. So we're reduced down to one map. As far as the rest of this goes, just as a quick explanation, these color codes on the map, the lighter blue is a buffer zone, and we're restricted to one application per year with sensitive area materials. And then this darker blue inside of all this hatched area with the pink boundary, that's all zone 2 wellhead recharge area. So that's restricted to one application every 2 years, with the exception of all the yellow areas in close proximity to the well. Those are all no sprays. We don't ever spray in those yellow areas. So that's pretty much the extent of the mapping.
Okay. Landis?
I don't really have any other input. This is done pretty routinely the past 19 years, so.
Okay. Dean?
Yeah, I'm with Landis. One question though is, what are you spraying in the? What kind of chemicals are you spraying in our zone?
It varies from year to year, and it's part of it's dependent upon whether it's a pre-emergent or post-emergent program. What I can tell you is, every year you get a yearly operational plan, which is the proposed document, which outlines exactly which products are going to be used and what concentration. And after you receive that, there's a 45-day public comment period. So, in fact, you should have just received that document.
We received a card to find the document on the website, yes.
Really? No, you should have received a whole package that went out about a week or so ago. I don't know, maybe it's floating around the office, but I'd get those back by certified mail, so I should get a green card back once it's signed for. But in any event, you do have the opportunity to review that and comment on it. It's available to the public. Board of Health and Board of Selectmen also get copies of that document. So every year you will know what's being used and what concentrations, and there's a date range of when the application is going to take place. So all that information is there.
Can you check on that? You say it was mailed. Is it mailed? Is that how it's sent?
Yeah, it's sent by certified mail, return receipt. We have to be able to document that everybody received them.
Just check that it went out of your the office, and then we'll have to check around town hall and see if it's there. But if it has gone out, just let Landis know that it has gone out.
Yep.
Okay.
Another question, off topic. What's the frequency of use of this line? I know that
this line is used every day.
Oh.
CSX, they operate freight. They call this the Framingham line. So it runs, if you go to the north through Medfield and Sherburne, winds up ultimately connects to their line up in Framingham. And to the south, it goes down to Mansfield. And they go out on the Amtrak where they service customers. So there's at least two to four trains a day on this, freight trains. And then, of course, sometimes Keolis obviously will come through here from time to time.
Thank you. No more questions from me. Sure.
Right, and I'll correct that. So what we received from Keolis was where to find the yearly operational plan for them, but we didn't receive any hard copies from you guys.
Yeah, I know Keolis just does they do theirs electronically. I do send out the hard copies.
Right. I'll check with the Board of Selectmen and Health and see if they received theirs as well.
Okay.
Things get
Actually,
misplaced.
I'm looking at the postage now. It was sent on Thursday, so it should be close. If it's not there, maybe it's kicking around the office.
Okay, so it has gone out.
Yes, it went out on Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, you can check and see where that, which office it wound up in.
And like I said, there should be 3 of them in the town hall. So Board of Selectmen and Board of Health get copies of the same document.
Okay.
Okay. So the 3 separate mailings are all in one package.
That's correct. They're 3 separate mailings with 3 separate certified return receipts.
Okay. Okay, Bailey?
No comment.
Doug?
Yeah, one question, well, two questions. How wide is the right-of-way width typically?
The right-of-way width varies, and a lot of that's dependent upon if they're in a cut or in a fill. Usually they were laid out back in the day by rods, so common width can be 4 rods wide, 5 rods, a rod being 16.5 feet. But I can tell you the spray pattern typically is 10 feet either side of the center line of the track. So they don't spray the entire right-of-way. The only one that does that is Amtrak, where they're running 150 miles an hour. But
okay.
So in order to actually answer your question accurately, I'd have to go find their valid maps and do some research on that.
But that's what I was getting to, is the spray width is just the 10 foot.
Yes, sir. It's on 10 feet either side of center line.
Okay, thank you.
The only exception to that is sometimes if they get at a road crossing where they have signals, they may spray wide for line of sight if they're not in proximity to a resource area. But generally, that's just for safety around a road crossing. So normally it's just that 10 feet.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All set. No comment.
Betsy?
No comment.
Al?
No comment.
Okay, I just have a question. The map looks good, and you got all these intermittent spots, the yellow and blue. How is that determined in the field?
So what we do out in the field is we have these metal plate markers that they're color coded consistent with the colors on the map, either blue or yellow, or in some cases white if it's upland, which you don't have much upland here. And they're permanently nailed to the ties. So what I do every spring is I go out and make sure that they're all still there, because they do get disturbed if they do maintenance or if they change ties. They get sometimes pulled out and lost. But there is a permanent colored marker fastened to the ties.
Okay, and that's up to the operator to see that marker?
Yeah, I can tell you that I ride with the spray truck when it does the application. And so I'm sitting there with a book of maps in my lap, and I'm directing him where to spray and not spray and to be on the lookout for the markers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do we have anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? Hearing none.
No one in chat.
Anyone there, Landis?
No, no one in chat, no.
Okay. Someone make a motion to close the hearing?
I'll move. Second.
Okay, all in favor. Dean?
Dean Babbitt, aye.
Bailey?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Emilio?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Jack, aye. Okay, what do we?
So Jack, they're looking for a -3 and 5.
Okay.
And a positive 2A.
Yeah, I was getting to that, and a positive 2A,
It's
confirming the accuracy of the resource boundary.
Okay, so this is, someone make that a motion. We want, go over that again, Landis, which ones we want?
A -3 and a -5 and a positive 2B that confirms the accuracy of the resource boundaries.
Excuse me, 2A.
2A. What did I say?
Thank you. 2B is bad.
Sorry. No B, A.
2A, okay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor. Dean?
Dean, aye.
Bailey?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Emilio?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Jack, aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, Total Walpole Conservation Commission, notice of intent, public hearing. According to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act, notice hereby given the intent 55 BH LLC / 55 SS LLC for construction of 300 residential units in a mixture townhome, single-family home, and apartment structures with associated grading, utilities, and drainage, portion of which is within the outer riparian zone of Cedar Swamp Brook. 100-foot BVW and 3 on-site vernal pools located at 55 Summer Street, map 308, block 52, lot 56 and 60, and a portion of 307-52-78. Plans are on file at the Conservation Commission office and online on the town website. Public hearing on the above matter will be held via Zoom conference June 24th, 2020, beginning at 7 p.m. All interested person requested to be present. Hearing has been opened and continued. We have a letter from the applicant, from Mr. Hale, requesting continuance from this evening to May 12th. So what do we have on for May 12th?
We have a 7 o'clock and a 7:15.
Okay, so let's make this at 7:30.
I think that sounds good.
Okay, so someone want to make that a motion to continue the hearing until 7:30 on May 12th.
So move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Dean?
I recuse myself.
Okay, Bailey?
Aye.
Okay, Doug?
Aye.
Emilio?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Jack, aye. Okay. So Mr. Hamilton, so it's on at 7:30 on the 12th. Okay. What else do we have on our agenda here? We have, Mr. Silva? You want, Landis, do you have any preference how we take these?
Does Mr. Hamilton have a question? I think he's raising his hand.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Hamilton.
Yes, I have a personal issue here. As you know, I'm in area wetland 16, and the Commissioner of Environmental Protection shall from time to time, for the purposes of presenting and promoting the public safety, private property, wildlife, fisheries, and water resources, floodplain areas, and agricultural, adopt, amend, or repeal orders regulating, restricting, or prohibiting dredging, filling, removing, or otherwise altering or polluting inland wetlands. Now, it says specifically that I would be notified, and that's not happening. The Commissioner of Environmental Protection shall, before adopting any such orders under the preceding paragraphs, hold a public hearing thereon in the city or town or watershed region in which the inland wetlands or floodplains to be affected are located, giving notice therefore to the State Reclamation Board, the Department of Environmental Management, the Massachusetts Water Resources Authority, the Selectmen, Conservation Commission, and assessors of each city or town.
What did you feel like you needed to be notified for, Mr. Hamilton?
Well, there's situations going on where there may be, now I looked and I tried to find, and what I could find was that on May 18th, 1990, a determination was made in book 5640, page 747. And prior to that, approval was made in page 50, book 5708, page 627. And that was for a permanent, a amendment to the inland wetlands, which I have on my deed, as I am one of the members of Inland Wetland Protection 16. So I'm not getting notified. I'm supposed to get notified, and it says.
What are you supposed to be notified about?
Well, I'll read it to you.
No.
No, why do you think you should be notified?
Because it says I'm supposed to be notified
About what?
about anything that's being changed within the district, within that inland water.
Mr. Hamilton, what you're reading from is the Hatch Act, which it was written a while ago, and since then the Wetlands Protection Act has been written, and the Wetlands Protection Regulations. So if any activity is occurring, if you're in a butter within 300 feet of an activity that's occurring, you would be notified.
Well, now, I don't think that that's correct, okay? Because this here, it says.
But what do you think was happening in 16? I have the wetlands restriction maps here. Are you talking about the Route 1A fields? That was happening in 16 and you should have been notified?
I'm talking about activity in wetland number 16.
Okay, well, I think that's what we're trying to figure out, what particular activity you're referring to, such as building of a house or road.
Any changes to the wetlands. Now, I can refer you to the DeLappa project. The DeLappa project, which I was notified of, had a U road. But the DEP, when they investigated the restrictions for DeLappa, did not allow that road to go through. And that road has never been completed. But there's no activity on it now, so I'm not being notified about it. But if there's adjacent activity off of Summer Street, I'm supposed to be notified of that. It says it clearly.
Summer Street, if you're talking about this development, that Summer Street does not affect that area.
Yes, it does. There is a restriction. There is a deed restriction on that property that was made to the Koskis. They have a deed restriction on that land.
I think if you feel like you should have been notified for a particular public hearing, that you should come into the office and maybe we should talk about it then. Chairman, do you think that's more appropriate?
Well, what I'm trying to find out is...
Not on our agenda, and we have other things that are on our agenda.
Oh, okay, but what I'm trying to find out is, was there a public hearing by the DEP in the town of Walpole? And that's either a yes or no.
For what?
The DEP have a hearing? Is that what you're asking?
Yes. Now, for DeLappa, they wouldn't allow certain roads to cross the wetland restrictions on that deed.
Right.
So if there are wetland restrictions on those deeds, and if they're being crossed with roads, which it appears to be, then the DEP should be holding a hearing.
The DEP has not held a hearing. That answers your question.
Okay, so then I'm going to look to the DEP to hold a hearing.
So Bill, you might want to write to the DEP.
Well, I used to visit them at Downtown Crossing, but the people that I know there have retired, unfortunately. But what I also have found out anecdotally is that in 2006, they transferred Walpole's records from the Downtown Crossing to Lakeville. And those records have somehow been misfiled or misplaced. So some of our records don't exist in Lakeville, or they can't be found in Lakeville, and they haven't gone back now. We're back with the Downtown Crossing. So I will go to Downtown Crossing and talk to them.
I think any application that comes before the Conservation Commission, a notice of intent, also goes to DEP. So DEP gets the application, and if they feel like the applicant has to take any further direction, they notify the applicant and us of that. So DEP has been apprised of this, any kind of activity all along. So you'll be assured that if an applicant has to file something else, that DEP would certainly notify them of that.
Well, I was told.
I think we have other people waiting, Jack, to discuss.
Well, I was told that the DEP was not notified when the preserve was built on our water supply.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we will.
Point of order.
Take a look at that And if there's anything that you should be aware of, we'll get in touch with you.
So there's a
Thank you
question
very
on
much.
the chat. There's a question on the chat from Joanne.
Where is Joanne?
She has a question. She wants the reason for the continuance by Hale and Omni.
The reason for what?
Why they continued Summer Street.
They didn't give a reason, they just
They didn't
requested
give
a
reason.
continuance.
They just asked for continuance.
They don't have to give a reason.
No. Okay. All right, we have Mr. Silva on the line here. Are we ready to go into that, Landis?
Sure. So Mr. Silva owns a property on Lost Brook Trail, which is a new road off of Delaney Drive. There's 2 lots at the end of this. Some people will recognize it as the Hegler property. So both of those lots came before the Conservation Commission. The one on the right had a stream crossing, so there was a notice of intent filed for that, and a little bridge went over the stream, and there was a replication area. There's also a detention basin for the road stormwater runoff that was constructed on Lot 1. Lot 1 came before the Conservation Commission, and all the activity was proposed outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. So the commission issued a negative determination because no activity was proposed within the buffer zone. I was told that activity had been occurring there, so I went out and took a look and observed that vegetation had been removed in the buffer zone. Some trees remained, but the shrubs and everything else had been taken down and pushed to the rear of the property where the stone wall is, and loam had been spread out throughout the area. So I issued a notice of violation. I have some pictures also, and requested the owner to attend this meeting, and thank you for coming to the meeting. I instructed that the wetlands line should be reflagged. The wetlands line that was put on the plan originally should be reflagged in the field, and that the 25-foot no alteration areas should be staked, and then come to the commission to discuss what should occur after that.
Mr. Silva, do you have any comments?
Yes, how are you doing?
Okay.
So when I bought this house, I spoke with the builder in regards to the backyard, and he said it was fine to clean. I thought I was doing something good for the environment. Just cleaning some dead wood, that was spread all around the yard. So and then since Mrs. Landis came over, I was doing some reading, and I kind of realized that I did things backwards. I should have gone through the legal process, which I was not aware at the time, and I thought I was doing something, I was not violating anything.
Okay. Who was the builder that told you there was no problem with doing what you wanted to do?
His name is I totally forgot his name. So he's building the other house across from mine. I mean, I didn't really, told him I was gonna do that much cleaning. I just wanted to clean close to the grass, so I could have some more space for my kids to play around.
Okay, Landis, you just might make a note of that if he's building the house across that in the other lot there, that you might talk to him and remind him not to advise people to work in areas they're not supposed to.
I did reach out to him and left a message for him, Mr. Corus, Corras. I did. I called him and left a message on his answering machine for him to get back to me. I wanted to know what he had conveyed to the new property owner, and he did not return my call.
All right, if we don't get some response, then we can take additional action to make sure he gets the message. But what do we want, Mr. Silva, you went over what you want him to do. Is there anything else that he needs to know, specifics about what to do?
Well, again, I think he needs to have the wetlands boundaries surveyed. So the plan that I provided you shows where the wetlands flags were located by the botanist. Those should be rehung in the field. And then the 25-foot no alteration area, which is the first 25 feet from the boundary of the wetlands line, upgrade. That's the no alteration area, so that needs to be staked out. So I think the commission needs to evaluate the extent of the clearing. If vegetation has been cleared within the 25-foot no alteration area, I would assume the commission would want that replanted. And then I assume you were planning on hydro seeding. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Did we have plaques on the to describe the no alteration area?
No, because the determination had all the activity outside of the buffer zone.
Okay, well, I think we should probably establish on the 25-foot no disturb area, put our plaques up for future reference.
So first you need to survey the wetlands, put the flags up again in the 25-foot no alteration area, and then give me a call so I can evaluate if you've altered the vegetation in the 25-foot no alteration area, because we truly mean no alteration, no removal of vegetation. And then if that's been altered, then you need to replant some. And then it sounds like you wanted plaques. Do you want him to file anything else, or just do it under an enforcement?
Anyway, well, it would seem that the enforcement, should that work?
It can, if that's the way the commission wants to go. Can give direction through the enforcement that the 25 feet needs to be revegetated if it's been altered, and that then beyond that 25 feet, it would be allowed to establish a lawn, ? Is that what you are allowing under the enforcement?
Well, I guess that's up to, if that, basically, if he's gonna do, take all of that except the 25-foot no disturb area, then, we should probably have a filing if we're gonna do that. If it's just gonna restore and let things back, or minimize his extended lawn, I think that's that probably, it was just in the outer end of the side of the buffer zone. That probably could have been handled when they did the determination for the house. If it had been done, if they wanted to do a lawn for a portion of that. Why don't we establish first reestablish the wetland line, as you said, in the 25-foot no disturb, and then we can take from there, and Mr. Silva can decide what he wants to do, and then we can determine whether he needs to file a notice of intent or just to complete restoration under an enforcement order. Is that okay?
Have you contacted a surveyor yet, Mr. Silva?
No, not yet, but I'm gonna contact them tomorrow.
Okay, so the commission's next, so what kind of, I think we should give some kind of deadline if possible. I know sometimes it's hard to get in touch with them, but
okay, our next meeting is is May 12th. If you can get back to us by May 12th with what action you have taken and what has been done. Okay?
Yeah.
And if you've got a surveyor and when he can do the work or if he's done the work.
Right, and if you have the wetlands line surveyed and the 25-foot no alteration surveyed, as soon as you get that, you can give me a call or email me and I'll come out and take a look at it. So so the next meeting is the 12th. So if that could happen at least by the 10th, so I can go out and inspect it, or if it happens before, give me a call.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You understand what we're asking?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Anyone else on the commission have any questions, comments at this point? Dean, anything more you want to add?
I do have a quick question. When the builders get an RDA or a negative determination, when are they supposed to convey that to the new property owner? That this is, whose responsibility is it to kind of communicate this to the new property owner of our requirements in the buffer and all that information we supplied?
Well,
that's the Landis or you, Jack.
Well, I think,
they should.
The builders should convey when they sell a property of what issues go with the property. They do have to, I think that determination would have been filed with the registry.
No, determinations are not recorded at the registry of deeds.
But they should pass along this information to the buyer. And I would guess that some do and probably some don't, or it's mentioned and just the buyer doesn't really understand anything about the Wetlands Protection Act. It's like, just, in one ear, not the other. So this is where we have the enforcement issues that come up. But
thank you. No more questions.
Okay. Bailey?
Yes, sorry, Landis, one administrative thing. It appears that the Lost Brook Trail Pictures PDF on the website is the same as the professional letter notice of violation. Just so
sorry about that.
FYI, no worries.
Okay. Did I email? I emailed the pictures to you guys also.
Oh, did you? Sorry.
So I'll fix that.
I got the pictures. Yes. Okay, Doug, anything?
No questions.
Medio?
No questions.
Betsy?
No questions.
Al?
I'd like to see them do some replanting.
Okay, so you know what needs to be done, and you'll just keep in touch with Landis?
Yeah, as soon as I finish everything, I'll give her a call so she can come by and take a look.
Okay, and just keep us posted, so we want to know an up-to-date by our next meeting what's been going on. Okay?
Thank you very much, all.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Now, was Mr. Truax available now?
Looks like he's on.
Looks like he's there.
Sleeping.
Okay, well, you said you weren't going to be available till 8:30, so didn't want to miss you.
Wouldn't miss it, Jack.
Okay. We have Mr. Petrosi sent a letter to the commission suggesting that water is coming down from a previous development called was it Comerford Corner? It's a non-public street, Kevin's Way, which is just above Mr. Petrosi's Boyden Estate development as you go up Summer Street. And he indicated that he thinks that water is not being directed to the retention basin on the Kevin's Way development and is coming down into his development. Landis did go out to the site during a rainstorm, but it ended. And what she could observe was that it seemed to be functioning. The Kevin's Way drainage system seemed to be functioning, and speaking to the residents there, they indicated that it seems to be functioning. So also looking at the aerials, recent aerials of that area, it would appear as though that there may be some water coming down from Kevin's Way, but that probably came that way anyhow, because the land slopes in that direction. So we will try to observe something during a rainstorm and see what it actually is happening there. But I would expect that some of the problem that is occurring on Boyden Estates is due to to Boyden Estates itself.
I have a question, Jack. I want to actually so 2 meetings back or 3 meetings back, Rob said he was going to come to us with some plans for how to remedy the situation at Boyden Estates. And then, okay, here you are. And I think that's actually the topic, because we now have two different meetings, maybe 3 different meetings where we made that request. So I actually would like us to hear from Rob as to what his plans are to remedy the situation at Boyden Estates.
Well, this is a separate situation on, I think it's lot 8. Rob was going to address was the wetland issue and going over onto lot 6, which then overflowed onto lot 5. So the two.
I'd like to hear about that, because we went through a lot of trouble to get Rob here tonight.
It's all the lot 8, the discharge into that wetland that flows across the road to lot 6. So they're all this kind of somewhat interconnected, but they're 2 separate issues. So if Rob, do you have anything you can add?
I'll speak, Jack, sure. So I did speak to Landis Betsy a little bit about some ideas that I bounced around. And I felt that the best idea was to, extend the retaining wall that's on lot 6, that's around that wetland in front of the new house. And what we would do is we would leave a spillway, leave a couple blocks out, so there's like a spillway, so if it does flood again, it has an area to come out of that wetland, and then we'd create a swale through the person's lawn, maybe build a little berm along the property line so that it doesn't go into lot 5, and just direct that water down to the back of lot 6 if it does spill out. I will tell you though, I've been going out there every rainstorm. I've been out there in the pouring rain. I've walked through the wetlands behind lot 2. I've not seen this wetland that flooded, has very little water in it, and nothing surmountable that's even puddling in these downpours that we've had recently. So, but when I was up there, I walked up behind Kevin's Way. I looked at their drainage basin because I was concerned that maybe their drainage basin was coming our way. It's not coming our way because nothing's coming out of it. I looked at it, that outlet pipe, I don't think has seen water come out of it in years. The outlet pipe was full of leaves, and those leaves haven't been, if water came through, those leaves would have been pushed out. Those leaves look like they've been sitting there for a long time.
Is there water coming into that basin?
That's the outlet of the basin. So when I was out there, it was pouring. I didn't see any water in their basin. So there was erosion behind Mr. Petrosi's lot that came down, and he had put, it looked like he put what'd you put around it? Silt sock or something?
Silt sock, yeah.
So there was silt sock there, which captured it. There was erosion that was behind lot 2. And then I did notice that those people who live there on Kevin's Way, someone was in there with a machine recently and did some work behind lot 2. I don't know what they did, but there was something was freshly done. So then I drove up and I went up to Kevin's Way to see what was going on. It was raining out, and it wasn't raining quite as hard by the time I got up there, so I couldn't really make a good determination, but it appeared that some of the runoff coming down Kevin's Way on the roadway on the gutter was making its way into the driveway of the lot on the right, which would come, and if it went in that driveway, there's only one place for it to go. It goes off. They have a turnaround that points towards down the hill towards lot 2. I can't say for sure if that was, how much was going there or not, but it did appear that some was getting into that driveway. And the only other thing I noticed was, so I figured, well, maybe the roof runoff's getting there. They have, they don't have, from what I saw, they have no recharge for their roof runoff. All the downspouts are coming out on the ground, looking around the house. Nothing's going into the ground. So I'm not saying how much water comes from there. I just wanted to know for my own purposes, because I didn't factor that water into my drainage calcs. So if there was a lot of water coming down, coming either out of their basin that was coming towards us, or something in that manner, I just wanted to know for my own edification, because obviously something happened. We had an event, the thing overflowed, and I'm just as curious as everyone. I'd like to know why it overflowed. And I've gone out there, and I'm looking at all the lots when I'm out there. Lose lots, I walked every one of them. I'm looking to see where the water's going. I mean, looking to see if the sidewalk was dumping into that wetland, and it didn't appear any of that was happening. So, but Betsy, I apologize. I haven't drawn a plan to show you that, and it's only because I've just been overwhelmed with work this month. April's probably my busiest month of the year. And I'll be honest, I've been outdoors doing a lot of soil testing, to be honest. This is our testing month. So we just haven't been in the office as much to get things done. But I have been going out there. I live in Walpole, so I have the ability, every time it rains, I try to get my truck and go there. So I was curious, but I can't say as a matter of fact whether their project is dumping extra water or not. I couldn't say that definitively, but I do. If the water gets in their drainage basin, it's probably recharging, because nothing's coming out of that basin. That overflow pipe, I don't think it's seen water come out in years.
Okay, one question. Isn't that part of the drainage area that Kevin's Way is uphill from Boyden Estates? So wouldn't that be part of the drainage area?
No, because their drainage plan showed that water would have hit the wetland at the high point and went around the existing house that was in this project on Boyden. That wetland divides and goes around the back of that house and then comes towards Boyden, whatever you call the name of the road, Boyden Road. So it splits, and their detention basin sits right at that split. So depending where they put their outlet, it could go one way or the other, and it was designed to look like it goes the other way if it does overflow, but it's not overflowing at all. That I could see, I didn't see a lot. There was no water in it. There's only one catch basin in Kevin's Way that picks up, and I believe it's a treatment unit. It looks like that's what it was on the design, and that comes out through a head wall, and then there's a swale around, comes down along that house that's there and goes into the drainage basin.
There's two catch basins on that. One is on just past that, I think, the driveway of the house on the right, and the other one is in the probably in the driveway of the house that is in front of the detention basin.
There's one in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
You see it when you drive.
There's one in the cul-de-sac, and there's one in the driveway at 7 Kevin's Way.
Which one's 7? The one on the right?
The one straight on, the one with the basin to the rear.
Oh, okay. That's not the one I'm thinking. Okay, you said the one on the right. That would be the one on straight in.
That's what I said, straight on with the basin.
I didn't see that one.
They have a catch basin in the driveway, which when I was out there was taking a lot of the flow from the left. And then the one in Kevin's Way was also taking flow.
So, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Petrosi.
So, the way I look at this, we have two separate issues that need to be addressed. One is the situation that Betsy and we've been looking at regarding what occurred during the wintertime was the overflowing of the wetland on lot 6. But the second one has to do with the surface runoff that's running into my homeowner's backyard, causing a flooding situation every time it rains. And I've tried to, we talked about this at the last meeting, and I tried to go in there and tried to address the problem. And they basically said, get off our property. We don't want you touching our property. So that didn't really make me too happy. So it's clearly a problem that they've causing runoff to run into the neighbors, the property that I sold. And this water that Rob is describing going down their driveway and the rooftop runoff that's rolling down the hill is causing a pond in the backyard that can get up to a foot deep. And we need to do, you know, it needs to be addressed. So that's problem number one. The other problem, which is Rob has described, working with Landis for a design that can be worked out. That was kind of situation that occurred once or twice during the winter time, but it doesn't occur during these months. This flooding problem behind 8 Boyden Lane happens every rainstorm. Every rainstorm, there's a good sized pond in the backyard that's 6 to 12 inches deep.
Yeah, we'll take a look at problem. We'll take a look at Kevin's Way, and if they have conformed to their order of conditions, we'll take a look at the roof runoff and see if we can determine if the catch basin is working right. But if there's going to be some runoff from that property because going downhill.
I understand, and I'm perfectly willing to correct the problem for them at no expense to them. But we need to have cooperative parties to do it.
But we're also looking for Rob, when are you going to be able to put together what you are suggesting on lot 6 to avoid any future flooding that was coming from lot 6 onto lot 5?
When's your next meeting? Is what, the 12th? Can I have this meeting after the 12th? I'll have a plan for you.
Okay, that'll be the 26th.
Yeah.
May 26th. Okay, you'll have that by then.
Yeah, I'll have it like the week before that.
Okay. Yes, we need it before the meeting.
Correct. Yeah, I'm not going to give it. I'll give it to you a week before the meeting.
Yes.
And it's important that it be a plan.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I'll draw a plan so he can build it.
Okay, because honestly, it's been puzzling to me why it isn't a plan tonight or why it wasn't a plan 2 weeks ago. But okay, good. I have a question about the other problem, the new problem with the Kevin's Way.
Yep.
Is that completely our jurisdiction, or is it a neighbor problem?
Well, two things, Betsy, is in the order of conditions, it required all the houses to have roof recharge. None of the houses have recharge.
Oh.
Okay, so you have all of that runoff that's coming off the houses coming down to our property. Now, yeah, it is downhill. We expect some runoff, but we didn't have the runoff onto this property. The house has been built for about a year. We never experienced this kind of water. And it is true that they did have some regrading. They took some trees down. They did some regrading, which is, I understand that the backyard, and they want to do that. Now, it's very simple to fix it, I believe. You just need permission to go on their property to do it. And they don't seem to be wanting to cooperate with it. So if they don't want to cooperate with us, having me do it, then I'm going to require them to do it and put all the roof runoff in the ground like they're supposed to.
We will take a look at what the order of conditions for Kevin's Way and see if they have conformed to what was supposed to be there. We'll take a look at that.
I attached it to my letter in case you want to know.
Yes. Okay. In addition, on Boyden Lane, we have on lot 5, there's an enforcement order and notice of non-compliance. It's been ongoing for a long time. The no alteration plaques have not been installed, and an as-built has not been submitted for that lot. When do you plan to do that?
Well, I don't know. I didn't know I was in non-compliance still. We have an order of conditions that was extended, and we're in the COVID thing, so it wasn't really a priority of mine to do that. But I can see about trying to get something done in the next couple of weeks or 30 days.
Chairman, may I? So the order of conditions states that the as-built and the request for a certificate of compliance should be requested as soon as completion. So it seems like that lot has been completed for a while. You had a modification, and it seemed like there perhaps was more fill placed in the backyard than the modification. We asked for an as-built quite a while ago, and for the no alteration plaques to be put in and the mulch to be pulled back.
Right. We haven't done that.
Okay, so you'll address.
Right, so that needs to be done because the property has passed papers and pretty much seems to be completed and has been completed for a while.
Looks pretty good too.
Okay.
So that needs to be done.
Finish up lot 5 so we can get that one squared away. That's been occupied for a couple of years now.
So I have an as-built plan that I've had for quite some time. So since that time, the homeowners installed a swing set and other playground type equipment. Is that necessary to be put on the as-built, or are you okay with that?
No, but the no alteration plaques do need to be installed.
I'm having them engraved in very beautiful lettering right now, and I hope to have them in a few weeks.
Sounds good. Okay. All right, so you and Rob will have us a plan by before our meeting on May 26th. Okay.
So can I ask, Mr. Chairman, when do you think you'd be looking into this? Because the homeowners want to know what's going on. Can you tell me when you'd be looking at this situation on Kevin's Way?
Oh, we'll have to look at 2 issues there. One, if it's raining, we can take a look and see what's going on. Right. And that depends on the weather. And the other issue, as far as they're conforming to the order conditions, particularly with respect to the downspouts, we can address that
if you were to walk out there today, you'd see all the silt that's run off into these people's backyard. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, we'll take a look.
Chairman,
yes.
I believe we have someone in the butter who would like to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, thank you. My name's Scott Carey. I live at 3 Kevin's Way, so I'm familiar with what Lou is discussing. At this point, there's a lot of backstory that I don't want to get into on this particular call, but for the sake of everything and the neighbors that we've been having.
Sorry, can you just orientate us? So if you're on the cul-de-sac looking at 7 Kevin's Way, are you to the right of the
I'm on the right. I'm on the right. Yep. So, but anyways, a lot of backstory. Don't probably want to bore all of you with this. The bottom line is, as long as I can understand specifically what Mr. Petrosi would like to do on our property, more than willing to listen to them. I just want to have advance warning that work would be done on our property. That is what I've wanted all along. And I think that's just one request that I would put out there. But ultimately, looking to help the neighbors out on this one. We know the neighbors well at this point, and we want to make sure that they no longer have a puddle in their backyard if it is caused by our property, which I'm not saying it is at this point. But ultimately, I do want to talk to Lou. I think you're still on, so we can certainly chat through and figure out what you plan on doing.
Okay, that sounds good. Do you and Mr. Petrosi want to get together individually? Do you need anybody along with you? From the conservation?
Yeah, I think it would be good to have, I don't know, a representative from the commission, because I mean, my main concern at this point is something's done on my property that causes a bigger problem. So I'm more curious to know, like, is the solution something that will ultimately make this go away? As much as I love being on the call tonight, I think this is a great job you guys are doing. I want to, I just want to get this thing solved and make sure if it's something that I can help with, I'm more than willing to do that. So I think if someone from the commission is willing to be there as well, that would be great.
Okay.
I have a question, Jack, about this. So just as we are asking for Rob to come up with a plan for the other problem, it seems to me that if some work is going to be done by one person on another person's property, that a plan of what it is should be in writing. There should be something tangible. It shouldn't just be a discussion in the woods.
I agree, especially since I believe it is within 100 feet of the wetlands, whatever modification, if you're going to construct a swale or something like that, that we need to see a plan.
Yeah, so I mean, again, this is Scott Carey at 3 Kevin's Way. So I've already hired a civil engineer that's going to be coming out this week. He's used to be a former Walpole resident. Because I wanted to get an opinion from someone who hasn't been involved yet in this area or my property or the Boyden Estates. So I've hired someone, and I'm going to talk through what the cost is as far as figuring out what they would do, I guess. And whatever that is, I guess I'll have to look at it and see if that's something that's feasible on my end.
Okay. Do we have your name and phone number?
Yeah, Scott Carey. Phone number 781-964.
You get that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So I think we'll try to coordinate. How about your email address?
Yep, it's G.
lhershey@walpole-ma.gov.
Sure.
Then we can correspond back and forth.
Happy to.
Okay, so we can communicate on this. And as far as trying to get together, you want to have your engineer look at it first. Look at the situation first. Is that what you want to do?
Before or after, it doesn't matter to me. I do want him to come out before work does begin, though, just to kind of get his take on it. But I'm willing to chat with the commission rep and Mr. Petrosi sooner rather than later. Again, I look out my window every day at my neighbor's land, and I feel for him. So I want to make sure if there's anything that I can do, that we take care of it.
Is that something we can set up now as to a mutually convenient time?
Sure.
I don't know, what is your availability? Is it Scott?
Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon? Like what time?
Name a time. I'm available all afternoon.
Landis, what's good for you?
This Friday? I'd rather do this in email if that's possible. This Friday is not really convenient for me.
Okay.
All right, I can send you some times, Landis, if you like.
Okay.
I mean, I can, if that's how we want to go forward with it, I'm open to however you guys want to move forward with it.
If you wanted someone there just to observe and listen to what Mr. Petrosi has to say, is that something?
Then you could do that, Jack, if you want. I'm fine with that. If you have time to be in on that conversation.
Are you available Friday afternoon, Lou?
Sure.
Okay. 1 o'clock at where?
8 Boyden.
At 8 Boyden? Is that okay? And your name again, is it Scott?
It is.
Scott. And your last name again?
Carey.
Spell that?
C-A-R-E-Y.
Okay. So 1 o'clock Friday?
Sounds good.
And it's at 8 Boyden Place. Okay. So we can take a look, try to get this issue resolved. And then you'll have the other issue Rob is working on. He'll have something for us. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Rob, thanks for showing up, Rob.
You're welcome, Lou.
We have some other guests for what hearing?
Do you want to just continue the agenda? So we did the enforcement orders.
We did.
Are you?
Main Street, nothing new.
Nothing new on Main Street?
Lost Brook, Palmer Lane, anything new?
Not at this point. I'm not sure what's holding up the replication area plan, but that's, I've been told, in John Glosser's court.
Okay. Okay, so what else have we got? We got some minutes to go over. Is there any, we had some people on here. They have anything?
I don't know. Sometimes people just come because they want to come. They don't really have to share why. But if anyone wants to speak, they can let me know in chat and we'll recognize you.
We should sell tickets.
Just like at the regular in-person meeting, we wouldn't necessarily ask everyone why they're listening in on us.
All right, we have minutes from April 14th. What do we do with those? I think the only, just to correct, the guests who were there was Paul McManus, just to correct the spelling on his name. And there was one other thing. Where was it? Okay. On page 4, near the bottom of the page, the paragraph next to the bottom of the page says Landis summarized, beginning with that sentence. 1, 2, 3, the fourth line down, it says Lou plans to, it should be regrade.
Okay.
The issue we were just talking about. You have regard, it should be regrade.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else? Okay, so we'll move the minutes then for April 14th.
I'll move them.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. And all in favor. Dean?
Aye.
Bailey?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
EDO? Wasn't here. It was at,
Aye.
you weren't here, I don't think, were you? No.
For which one?
This is 14th, last meeting, April 14th. So you abstain?
Yeah, it was. I thought it was.
Now you were there.
Yeah.
Your name's not on there.
Well, Mondo showed us the pictures on his wall of the job.
Yeah, he's on.
Right.
I might have left him off at the top. He was there.
Erased from history.
Sorry.
Look on it. Come on.
Okay. There's one meeting Medio wasn't here, but okay. So Medio, that's a yes. Betsy
Yes.
and Al
Yeah.
and Jack, aye. Okay. So those are okay. We got another set of minutes. What was it, September 9th? Didn't we talk about this one, or we didn't just finish, we didn't approve it?
We started to. We didn't approve them because they weren't on the agenda.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right. Because the only thing I had here was correct spelling for Lou Petrosi's name.
Oh yeah. Yep. I messed that again.
And I don't know if there was something else. I can't forget now. Anybody have anything else on there? Okay. Someone want to move those?
I'll move them.
Do we have a second? Who was that?
Medio.
Medio, thank you. Okay, all in favor? Dean, you weren't here then.
No, I recused.
Okay. Let's see. Bailey
Aye.
and Doug.
Aye.
Medio.
Aye.
Betsy.
Aye.
Al.
Aye.
And Jack, aye. Okay. Minutes. Now, did anybody give any thought to reorganization, how we want to do this? Anybody want to make any suggestions? Or should we wait till our next meeting?
No.
You can make a suggestion by nominating a chair.
Yeah, so if the two current officers are okay with being in their office, then I'm okay with it.
Okay, I would be willing to continue as chair. Is that, so we'll do that one at a time. So was that a motion? Someone needs to second.
I move that Jack be chair.
I will second that motion.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Dean?
Just met you, Jack, but aye.
Thank you. You'll learn in due time. Bailey?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Medio?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
And I won't vote for myself. So anyhow, now for the vice chair.
Al, if Al wants to be vice chair, then I will move that he be vice chair. But Al, do you want to be vice chair?
It's okay.
Then I move Al be vice chair.
Okay. So we have
I
a
will second that.
Okay. All in favor? Dean?
Don't let us down, Al. Aye.
Bailey?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Emilio?
Aye.
Betsy?
Aye.
Al, I guess you're gonna abstain?
Yep.
Okay, and I'll vote aye. Jack, aye. Okay, so it's something different here. Continue the way it's been for however long. Thank you all. Appreciate the
No, thank you.
yes. What else have we got on the agenda?
I think that's it. Well, the request for certificate of compliance for 110 North Street, I'm still waiting for them to redo their as-built plan correctly. And then just the board comments for Lincoln Estates. Lincoln Road was a subdivision that we issued, or you guys issued an ORAD for delineated the wetlands. They will eventually have to come to us for probably determination as well as the land disturbance permit. And then New World Estates, Peach Street was on our agenda last meeting, and they're continued to our next meeting. I think I already discussed the tree on Lincoln Street, one pine tree. One pine tree that they want to take down.
Do we just have to say, okay? Was that,
Or if you have any comments.
that's not, we would only make a comment if we're opposed to it, right?
Sure.
Because is that a scenic road issue?
That's a scenic road.
Yeah.
So I could just walk over to Kate and say they're okay.
Yeah.
And I won't waste any paper, or just send her an email.
They don't have to cut another tree down, so you can. Okay. I guess that's it. Someone want to make a motion to close the hearing?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Have a good night.
Good night.
2 weeks.
I can't.